blushing. Oh, you miss my touching. Talk to me nice, talk to me honestly. Look in my eyes, don't let it fall on me. Say you're a good guy, make me believe it. Don't wanna hear it.
Well, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, I guess, wherever you are in the world. Welcome back to the Thai Expat Daily Show live stream. I'm your host, Kieran Mack, as always, and delighted you've been able to tune in with us tonight for another live stream, a run through of the stories we broadcast this morning, and a little chat about those stories and anything else that may have come up over the last couple of hours. Now, before we get into it, let me just check my levels. Okay, everything seems to be going okay, so we seem to be broadcasting at the moment. Have a quick look online and see what's going on. Stream settings all looking quite good. All right, so good evening to everyone that's on. Delighted you've been able to tune in again, as always, as I said. Have a quick chat here in the chat. Anyway, so we'll jump into the stories that have been trending today and what we went through. And I want to go through one or two that I have some follow-up on as well and bits and bobs. But let's just start off with the road deaths today in Thailand. Have a quick look at what has been going on here in Thailand. So as of today we've had 21 deaths. Now that's up until about 6 o'clock this evening, or sorry, 5:30, as you can see in the screenshot. So I presume we'll have more over the course of the day. As you can see from yesterday, we also had 21 people dying on the road, with just over less than 1,700 people injured. So if you go to look at the total for the year, we're not far off 6,000 deaths, and that is roughly we're nearly halfway through the year, I guess, right? Now we've another month or so. So we're still looking at being very on par with last year. And also, if you look at the injuries, nearly 335,000 people injured on the roads here in Thailand. So Thailand is a dangerous place if you are driving. And I think a lot of people who live here and expats who live here know the dangers when you're out on the road. And you know, it's just one of those things. You have to be careful. You know, it's really, you need to look after yourself. And you can be, of course, you can be as careful as a driver as you want. But, you know, it only takes one idiot to do something stupid on the roads and, you know, put you in trouble. So that's worth bearing in mind. By the way, it's mainly men who get into accidents here in the country. 75% roughly of men. And motorbikes is the main mode of transport that causes accidents here in Thailand, nearly at 80% or so. So yeah, we do need to keep, you know, our wits about it. They always say when people try to come to Thailand, they want to get on motorbikes. You know, it's not the place to be. Actually, I was watching a TikTok of I think she's about 23, 24 years of age. She just arrived in Thailand. She's been living in Bangkok. And she decided that the best thing that she was going to do was rent a motorbike. And she has never driven a motorbike in her life. She doesn't have a license, but she thought this was a great idea because, you know, she's seen other people doing it. So, yeah, you know, I even commented on it. Listen, if you're in Thailand, you've never driven a motorbike before, don't. It's just not worth it. But, you know, they don't want to listen. And then when they have an accident, they'll be all on the, you know, the GoFundMe looking for somebody to help them out, which is, you know, how it works a lot of the time here. But I think we'll look at the story, since we're talking about road safety. We'll move into a story that we covered this morning and just a bit of follow-up on it, because there was a little bit of nonsense from the commissioner. And it's not that I say he doesn't know what he's talking about, but they were speaking about road safety in Phuket, what they're going to do to kind of make things. And the commissioner of the police was kind of saying, well, we're going to make sure that, you know, what you need to have is your driving license, and we're going to make it easy for tourists to get Thai driving licenses and all that. So firstly, if you're a tourist, generally you can't get a Thai driving license. And in Phuket, I'm not sure he's ever tried to get a test in Phuket, but I mean, it takes a couple of months to do. You know, you have to do the online part, apply online, wait to get your appointment and then do the whole thing. So it's not something a tourist is going to do when they come here. What I found interesting was he seemed to not understand that the driving license from your home country is really worth nothing here. And in fact, it's the international driving license that the police want to see. And he made no mention of that, which I thought was a little peculiar. It's certainly something I thought he would have brought up and would have, mentioned, well, okay, you're going to need this international driving license, because if the police don't see that and you just pull out your regular license, they don't care. And that is in general how it is here. Police are always looking for a reason to catch foreigners out, and I think we know that as well. But one of the things was they've also been talking about how they're going to alleviate traffic in Phuket, and I don't know if anybody has been to Phuket recently, but it's become an absolute mess. Getting from A to B has become very, very difficult. They have the place now dug up. They're doing all kinds of work on the main Tepkasatri road, so you have tailbacks going back kilometers. I think it was on Monday or Tuesday they were saying it was taking 3 hours to get from the center of Phuket to the airport, because they're moving power lines and it's going to take a month. So the main road is kind of closed and they're detouring people and everything. It's just an absolute mess for people. It's certainly not an island. I mean, when you think of an island, and I don't think anymore Phuket comes into that for a lot of people. It's just like a big city, and with very little planning going on in it at all, as I think a lot of us know as well. Now, another story that I noticed and came up that we were talking about the last day was, of course, the Singapore Airlines flight. Firstly, rest in peace to the gentleman who passed away. I think he had an actual heart attack on the flight, and it's terrible when something like that happens. The guy was obviously on his way somewhere, maybe coming home, or he on his holidays somewhere. And I was watching Richard Quest. I don't know if you know who that guy. He used to work for CNN, but he was actually talking about they were in the papers. They were saying that the flight went from 37,000 feet to 31,000 feet or something like this. But he said that actually isn't true. That was a controlled descent by the flight or the autopilot. In fact, the plane only went up and down about, I think, dropped about 300 feet, he said, but it was very violent, very fast, very quick, and they didn't know it was coming. So that was really what happened there. Now, there was about 50 people had gone to hospital, and I think there's about 20 still in intensive care. But this is a really interesting story that I saw coming up. And it was in the, the Sydney Morning Herald. And it reads, Bangkok officials block Australian patient from criticising Singapore Airlines. Now, this is a legitimate story. I'd love to be able to get rid of this advertisement. Why do they put advertisements that span the whole page on their websites? I don't know. But an Australian man, Keith Davis, an injured passenger from the ill-fated Singapore Airline Flight 321, is stuck in Bangkok with neither answers nor a voice. His wife is in intensive care since the flight from London to Singapore was forced to make an emergency landing. So that's basically, Davis hoped to have her medically evacuated to Adelaide, where they live. And he basically wanted to say, we've no information from Singapore, not a single word. He said that the airline, which has maintained a heavy presence at Bangkok's hospital that they're currently at. I need to know, am I going through my insurance? I've got no idea. Davis wished to speak more openly about his concerns with the ABC's Bill Birtles on Thursday, but was not allowed by officials for reasons that were not explained. So in extraordinary scenes at a public cafe inside the hospital, staff surrounded him when it became apparent he was about to speak. Not satisfied with their own guard, they called security to reinforce their numbers. Davis, who's using a wheelchair and has visible facial injuries, told him that he knew Birtles and wished to buy him a cup of tea or coffee. This request was emphatically rejected. Birtles suggested it was his shout for coffee anyway and handed money to the stunned cashier. Staff then snatched the money from the cashier's hand. Soon after, they commandeered Davis's wheelchair and rushed him towards the elevator as he attempted to speak into reporters' microphones. He accepted the business card of a Wall Street Journal reporter, but this too far was ripped away. The staff in questions, who identified as being from the hospital, said they have been ordered to stop patients from speaking to the media. I mean, that just goes on a bit more about it, but that seems like, I mean, good morning from Florida, and thank you, Why Not One, for tuning in. But if you think about that, why are hospital staff running around telling patients that they're not allowed to speak to the media? That seems absolutely nuts. And I mean, I know Thailand has issues when it comes to, laws and stuff, but defamation laws and criticizing companies and businesses. But at the end of the day, if he wants to talk to the media about what happened, he should be allowed to do that. I find this very peculiar. But I mean, the hospital have come out themselves and said they were ordered not to allow their patients. But how can you order me as a person not to talk to somebody? I mean, if he decided he was going to wheel himself outside the hospital onto the public, onto a public road, surely they wouldn't be able to talk with him and get into this. So this is very peculiar and bad form, really. I'm surprised Singapore Airlines have not really been in contact with him. They have a lot of people already in in Bangkok dealing with this, and I'm really surprised because they're an airline that are always on the front foot. They didn't win Airline of the Year last year for no reason. They haven't been, I mean, they have record profits last year. The airline is doing really, really well. And to me, this doesn't sound 100% right. Because I think if you know Singaporeans, they're very straight up with things. They're efficient, and they really don't want to have any kind of scandal like this. So this seems like a peculiar story. I hope there's a follow-up and we find out why. Perhaps it could have been the Thai government talking, or the Thai police talking with the hospital staff, not Singapore Airlines. But who knows? It's highly unlikely that Singapore Airlines would be behind that. But that's just my opinion on it. But I'd love to know what you guys think. Now, we had a little bit of airport information, which I posted in my show this morning, and it's about Suvarnabhumi Airport. Between now and I think it's the beginning of June, there's some work going on. They're installing some automatic immigration gates. So if you are turning up to Suvarnabhumi Airport, turn up at least 3 hours minimum before your flight. That's what they say. Sometimes these things aren't true, but it's good to give the information so that people know and whatnot. If you want more information about that, you can look at the show from this morning. Now, I want to jump on to this one here. Now, another story we covered this morning was about this yacht that went on fire in Chalang Bay in Phuket. Luckily, nobody was injured. Actually, everybody was off the yacht shopping at the time, and it went on fire. It took 3 to 4 hours to put the thing out, but I think the boat is already destroyed and everything. But very, very peculiar how it happened. It would be very interesting to find out what happened and why. It's an expensive boat. I think it was operating as a charter at the time. And I just personally, I think it seems very, very strange to me. Now, and the last story that I covered this morning, I want really to jump onto it, is this one here about defamation laws here in Thailand. Now, 1 second, I need a little drink from my Thai Expat Daily mug. On sale, by the way, if you'd like one. They're very nice, by the way. But I was covering defamation laws here in Thailand. I wanted to go through the law a little bit about it, and I covered it in the show this morning with the facts of defamation. But it is amazing how many people don't know the laws here in Thailand and don't, understand them fully. Because defamation here in Thailand, the onus is on the person who's made the defamatory statement. And even if it's true, you can still be done because the onus is on you to prove certain aspects within the law. And I think that's part of the problem here. I see a lot of people on the likes of TikTok, expats especially, a lot of these, what's the word? That's just knobs. A lot of these, I don't know if you ever see this guy, Tom Birchie, on TikTok, right? So Tom Birchie is this TikToker, but he's been having a bit of a feud with a guy up in Chiang Mai called Johnny Velvet. But anyway, he made some accusations online about Johnny Velvet and taking drugs and whatnot. And this guy's actually has a few quid in his pocket. So he's decided to sue him for defamation. And a lot of people don't understand that here in Thailand, when you broadcast stuff on the internet, when you post items on Facebook and whatever, and if it's negative stuff about people, you put yourself at risk at being, got in a lot of trouble here. I'll get back to the comments at the end, but train of thought is gone there. So we're talking about defamation, yes. And a lot of people just don't understand the law here in Thailand. And defamation can be, it's not just civil, but it's criminal in Thailand as well. And a lot of foreigners who come here are very open because of their mindset of being from the West, that they can write anything they want on comments on people's, videos or whatnot, or even still they can broadcast, they can do live streams and talk about people as if they're in their own country, where they probably get away with it in their own country. But here in Thailand, things are very, very different. And if you post a video about somebody and it's fairly negative and whatnot, you can get yourself in a lot of trouble. The funny thing about this Tom Birchie guy, and I don't know if you've seen him, but he owns one of these broccoli shops in Krabi and whatnot. But what he said about this guy is defamatory, probably defamatory in any country. But the idea is he thinks he's not in trouble. Well, you are in trouble. You have a court date coming up on July 1st, and you are going to face the consequences to your actions. And I think a lot of people are too free with their words these days on the likes of TikTok and these short form videos when they go live, and feel like they can say whatever they want about anything and insult people and it's okay. But you do find here in Thailand that people take this more seriously. I'll give you an example. Not many years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, at a place that I worked at, there was a girl who worked in the accounting department, and she wrote something negative about somebody on Facebook. And she posted that on Facebook. It wasn't private, but still it was posted on the internet, and she had a lot of friends. And the person she posted it about went to the police and filed defamation charges against her. And the police came to her workplace to escort her down to the police station, or make an appointment for her to go down to, answer her charges. The charges of what she did. So it does happen in Thailand here, and people are very quick just to open their mouths and say anything. I do think that's a huge issue here in Thailand. Is it a good thing or a bad thing that they have defamation? Personally, I don't believe defamation in Thailand should be a criminal matter. It should only be civil. We have defamation in pretty much every country around the world, but it shouldn't be a criminal thing. You shouldn't be able to go to jail for your words as such, but you should be able to be sued if you say something that's not correct, not true, or you're maliciously going out there. You see the same thing about the British guy who was posting negative 1-star reviews about a restaurant because the owner told him, don't use the front of my restaurant, use the side entrance to get to your apartment. And he went on a systematic campaign with him and his friends of giving 1-star reviews and taking this guy's wonderful review score on Google from 4.8 to 3.1. And they thought that was funny. Probably in their own country, they would have got away with something like that. But not here in Thailand. Here in Thailand, they have ways to find out what you're up to, and they take action, and that's part of it. So your words do matter here in Thailand. Your actions on the internet do, because we have the Computer Crimes Act here as well. So those things are very strict laws. And if you file at the police station, they will, the majority of the time, take it seriously. Now, sometimes they will say to people, no, that's not defamation, really sorry, out you go. But a lot of the time, if you have legitimate proof of video, or something like that, then whoever has defamed you, and the thing is, you can take action up to 10 years. It's not something that just goes away straight away. So there is a lot of laws here that are here for specific reasons. I think we know why a lot of the laws here do exist, but people do use them. Businesses do use them to stifle free speech from people. There's a lot of stories. I urge you to watch I think it was an Al Jazeera, but it could have been Deutsche Welle, a documentary about a woman in the north of Thailand who has been fighting corruption, basically, and was being sued by people who were committing crimes and embezzling money, etc. And she was being prosecuted and I can't remember the name of this documentary, but it was very, very insightful. And if you can see how these companies treated local people. So, for example, I think they had destroyed their, some company had destroyed their water, and they were actually being poisoned by the water. And when the village people finally tried to take action or complain about, the company sued them for defamation. But they even did it in a really sneaky way. They filed the court cases down in Phuket, right? So these villagers, who obviously didn't have very much money, had to travel to Phuket each time there was a hearing for the court. And obviously wasting their time. It takes them a day or 2 days to get from the north of Thailand to Phuket. They mightn't have the money to be traveling, etc. And this is what this company was specifically doing to these people. And this is what happens a lot of the time here in Thailand. Big companies like that use these laws to stifle free speech, to cover up their misdeeds a lot of the time and try to silence people. I think it's called the slap law, something like this. But in essence, that is what it is. But I mean, I don't know. I think, at the end of the day, this is how I think. I don't think it should be criminal. I think it should be civil. However, the law here exists here in Thailand. And if you live in Thailand, then you need to follow the laws of the country. If you don't like the laws here, then I suggest possibly this is the wrong country for you to go to. That's just my honest opinion about it. Maybe find somewhere a little more liberal. I'm not sure where, but it's up to you to decide. So Mr. Wynot, he wrote down, so sad they do this. It's the reasons Americans don't go to Thailand is the numbers we are into our free speech. Yes, and I understand that exactly. A lot of people are into their free speech. They want to, express their opinion. And in America, you obviously have your constitutional rights, and they're different from Thailand. Obviously, Thailand's had a lot of constitutions here in the country, rewritten by different coup makers over the years to try embed their power into the country. And that's how it is. Now we have a somewhat democratic government who are trying to do their best to bring the country forward, but they're still being stifled by people as well. So that obviously is something that Thailand has to figure out for itself. But thank you very much for tuning in for this quick live stream tonight. It's always my pleasure to talk with you guys out there and just talk about the stories and the different things that are going on here in Thailand. There will be a podcast uploaded tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. And if you can't wait for that, you can always pop over to TikTok, where we have a very active channel at the moment with a lot of views and a lot of engagement. So that's something we have there too. We're not so big on Twitter or Instagram. I really have no idea how Instagram works, but I have no interest in doing it, to be honest with you. But obviously, if you want, we do have some content there. And also the last thing is something in the beginning of my show this morning. We will be starting a segment next month where we will be talking and interviewing expats here in the country, finding out why they came to Thailand, what brought them, cost of living, what bothers them about Thailand, what they love about Thailand, just aspects of being an expat here in Thailand. We have a number of regular folk that will be appearing on the show, and then we have a couple of people who are reasonably big on social media on different channels, and I'm going to have them appearing, and we've already scheduled that, so that will be coming up next month. And why not? Thank you for your comments down below, sir. Hope Florida is nice over there. It's actually, I love Florida, great part of the world. I was there. When was I in Florida last? So I was in Florida on September 11th. September 11th. Me and my friends were down in Florida for 2 weeks, and we were enjoying ourselves. We were out in Key West. We're having a great time. It was just fantastic. And then 7-Eleven happened. We were actually out on the dry tortugas on the island out there when the boat that we were on and the tour that we were on got a call from the Coast Guard saying all boats had to return. At that time, we didn't even know what was going on. And we returned to be told that when we got back to the harbour that 9/11 had happened. So yeah, that's that's my thoughts from back then. But Florida is a great place. I've been to Miami. I've been to obviously Key West. I've been to other parts, and I've really love Florida. Great place. And yeah, absolutely fantastic. But anyway, folks, that's it for today. As always, thanks for tuning in. We will talk to you again tomorrow morning. Stay safe and have a great evening.